it's already February. In fact, since Tuesday, astrologically, it's been the month of Pisces. So it's time to have a look what we can expect in the month of Pisces, the month of March mostly, in our calendar. Well, as we know, all sorts of exciting things have been happening, not the least of which was the unexpected load shedding. And you know, some people asked me, how is it that astrology didn't predict, or I didn't predict, that there was going to be this unexpected load shedding? One thing that we really need to understand about how astrology works is that it's not a psychic art or a magical one. We don't receive information from some hidden or mysterious source. It works a lot like modern sciences, and that is basically you investigate certain things and you'll find something there or not. So you don't really see what you're not looking for. It's like a blood test. You'll only find what you're really looking for. So mostly when I look at the chart, as any astrologer looking at political things, actually we mostly look at the chart of the president and how things affect people in power, because that's what devolves down to what affects the country, and that's mostly how that's done. So you won't necessarily look for that unless someone said to me, have a look at how the utilities are working, or have a look at what labor is doing. Well, when we look at the year ahead, we do look at a few of those. Of course, we'll look at labor, we'll look at things that are of interest to everyone. But of course, you can just never look at everything, and you can never know what to look at. So, like with anyone, there would be no reason why I was looking at ESCOM-related things at this time, unless we were in the middle of a power crisis. And now we are. So, of course, I had a quick check to see what that's about. And first thoughts are that from the chart's point of view, it does look a little bit fishy. There isn't a clear sign that there's an authentic problem going on, and there is a clear sign of very serious problems with labor. I certainly can't know this from astrology, but the various suspicions that have gone around that, be it unions or specific workers or whatever may be, are somehow responsible for what happened at ESCOM last week seems to be somewhat confirmed by the astrological chart. Literally, it describes labor as putting a stranglehold on services in some form. Well, given the circumstances, that's probably what it is. But labor aside, it is then describing a stranglehold on services in general, not only ESCOM. And what is showing in the chart at the moment is increasing pressure on President Cyril Ramaphosa. I did discuss this at the beginning of the year, and it does look like it's becoming extremely difficult for him. Logically, we know that his efforts to deal with ESCOM is challenging to the very unions that he's associated with, and there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff going on there. Again, I would say that if I were his astrologer, or if he had an astrologer, I would be giving him very clear warnings that he is in a much more difficult situation. Well, I guess then at least we realize, maybe he does realize what kind of difficult situation that is. But it really does look like there is danger to him, his government, or his presidency in some way over the next, say, 45 months. And over the next 2 months in particular, and then around about the time immediately after the election in May and June. We will talk about that closer to the time. We even have an election date now, but we'll talk all about that as the time approaches, and might also relate to a little bit more about state capture. From the chart's point of view, there are still many secrets to emerge, and we've just entered the stage now when many secrets will start emerging over these 3 months leading up to the election. So it's kind of like there have been two levels. There's been, first level was the Guptas, second level has been Bosasa. It looks like there's another level to go, and there's yet more to come out that's going to horrify and shock South Africans over the course of at least partially the next 3 months, but actually over the next 2 years is what the chart shows. So there's a lot that we're not finished with, and that we will discover more after the time of the elections as well. So it looks like a thicket of difficulty that we have to get through. There's a lot of lying, misinformation, non-information. it is a challenging time for all of us at this time, and as I've said, even for the president. So kind of we've all got to hang onto our hats a little bit more tightly and make our way through it somehow or the other, persisting forward. We know that always there is a lot of fragmentation and hysteria leading up to the election. So that's all just normal behavior for elections in any country. Right now, though, it's just adding to the situation of a lot of not being given information. And if I had to give advice to my fellow South Africans, that's certainly what I will say. I will say that we've learned a lot from state capture and so on about the disinformation, misinformation, lying and lack of information that we have been subjected to. And all I want to say is it's by no means over, not even close. Be aware, be suspicious, be careful, and let's just get through to the period after the elections when we can start holding people to account, hopefully. Actually, your path is more important. The Stoics teach us that we can't fret about what we're not in control of, and the thing that you are in control of is your own life. So, as ever, let's have a much closer look at that and see what you can expect for the month ahead. Aries know that things have been working much better over the last little while, kind of since the beginning of the year. And for the most part, things are going to continue working for you. But there are some adjustments that happen this month. It might even seem as if there are setbacks to you, if you're expecting to charge ahead as if everything was just open doors. There are necessary adjustments that's going to be made. Some of your plans are not going to work out, and some of your strategies, which seem so clear and straightforward, are also going to need some adjustment, because it's going to turn out you're going to have to make compromises, etc., to other people. So that's part of what the challenge this month is all about. However, there's a great balance to that for you, Aries, because this looks like a great time to make sure the balance of fun and pleasure and things that you love to do is properly established. This is really the time to be focusing on those kinds of things, as well as bringing your natural talents and creativity into your working life. It does look like you're looking for excitement. Maybe that's the place to get excitement, because otherwise a little bit of impatience and intolerance could cause a lot of damage in your working environment. This is a great time to be paying attention to your family and your children in particular, although those of you with older children need to be giving them some space to do something different, and maybe something that you're not entirely comfortable with. Great opportunity to discover fun, freedom and play together. Taurus, determination is certainly one of your better qualities, and that is the one that's going to take you very far this month. But I might be inclined to call it a little bit of grim determination. You could be taking yourself a little bit too seriously. You could be expecting others to take you too seriously. And there is a little bit of do lighten up. It's not only about lightening up, it can also be overdoing it. Some Taurians are warned about precisely that, just working too hard, doing too much, and perhaps being a little bit of a slave to the work, or worse, slave to your employer and employment situation. You really need to take some time out from that. And you also need to have a look at whatever effect this all might be having on your health. The overdoing it, or the knuckling down and grimly marching ahead. It's also time to let go of that a little bit. Great opportunity to pay attention to neglected health things. Those are the things we're supposed to take care of ourselves, like the dentist, like checkups, like that kind of stuff. Your opportunities are great to kind of clear out and do with things from the past, get them wrapped and put them behind you with respect to personal stuff and health stuff in some way. Other than that, grim determination can also really help. If you need to put your foot down, if you need to put your best foot forward, or if you need to act with authority, this is the time to do it. Tell them what you want and the world opens up to you. Geminis, it's all about your personal life this month. And while on the whole things could be going well, I wonder, looking at these charts, if you're not making too many sacrifices or just too much in a go with the flow mode and not quite realizing that you're beginning to drift off your path and maybe beginning to accept some things that you don't need to make those kind of compromises for. Compromise is very important in a relationship, compromise and cooperation, but you can have too much of a good thing. You are a social sign. It's natural for you to want what's best for other people and make sure everyone's groovy and happy, but in your personal life that can go too far. For the most part, it does look good. It looks like if this is your meaningful relationship, it's certainly well worth that investment. But it's really just a question of keeping things in balance. For those of you in new relationships, it's looking very romantic and idealistic, and just keep in mind that it takes quite a few months before you really know where you stand. So again, don't make any compromises or don't make any sacrifices. Enjoy the romantic vibe. Hey, existing relationships, this is a great opportunity to reintroduce the romantic vibe where it's lacking, and that can also be a way to get it back on track and just to make sure that you're not slipping off the path where you're working on things together. It is a good time for romantic because both of you can have the same vision for the relationship right now. This is the time to institute it. Cancerians are feeling strong and coming on strong, and in so many ways this is the strong month for Cancerians this year. Not the only one, but certainly this is a time to kind of get into your own vibe and assert what you want. Cancerians are, yes, capable of leadership and assertiveness, but are usually also concerned with making sure that everyone's okay, and sometimes with their emotional security more than what's happening in the outer world. Well, Cancerians, this is time to be paying attention to the outer world. You might need to act with leadership or assertiveness. That won't be difficult, and you will find people coming into line, people willing to work with you on that and cooperate as well. This is also the time to check out what do you need from others. What can they be doing for you for a change? What can you get from them? Don't be shy. You don't always have to be the provider. This is the time to be the receiver as well, something you're not that used to. For Cancerians who get the opportunity, this is a good month for travel, for exposing yourself to new things, and to bring different kinds of people into your life as well. Everything that's available to you from other people and those other people themselves are advancing your cause at this particular time. You do need to be careful that others aren't taking advantage of you, though. You're so busy reaching out to all of them that someone might try to get through a boundary. Keep your boundaries intact. Remember, you're the leader in this situation. Leos will find themselves getting an opportunity at the very least to be in their happy place this month. In fact, Leos might just find themselves in their happy place all on their own. Things are working for you, but the most important word there is place. It's not just about that feeling of the happy place, it's literally places. So this is a great time to firstly go where you want to go, whether that's for travel reasons or for professional reasons. If there's somewhere where you've been meaning to get to, this is the time, because what you need from there or what you get from there is stronger this month than it is for most times. But generally speaking, you will find that wherever you are or wherever you're going, it does seem as if you're feeling comfortable because things are really working for you. It's a little bit like you're in the flow at the moment. Sounds great, but there can be one challenge to that, of course, and that is Leos are not the best at going with the flow. You do try and take charge of situations and make it go your way. This is not the time for that. The irony is, the beautiful irony is, that in that going with the flow vibe, it's a great opportunity to step back a little bit in many things in your life. It's like saying it's a strategy. Strategy right now is don't act obviously with leadership and assertiveness. Just sit back a little bit and things will flow your way and flow past you and make things work just the way you want them to without even that much effort. Accept it. It's your time. Well, Virgos, as much as you want to go ahead with all sorts of ideas and plans at the moment, it might take a little bit of time before you can really do that. It does look like matters at home demand your attention, and quite frankly, it's well worth giving them your attention at this particular time, because this is a good time to kind of invest in your domestic life. However, not too surprisingly for a Virgo, it looks like you're making too many sacrifices and you're not establishing good boundaries with respect to people in the home. That could be children, could be partners, or just with respect to whatever matters are affecting you that might affect your home or the money you're spending on your home in some way. So this also means you need to be careful about spending money on the home at this particular time. You're not in a perfectly clear state because you're feeling torn between what you want for you and what you need to do or believe that you need to do. Well, the astrological answer right now is that you will need to be a little bit more selfish and focus on your goals, but you will also need to take a different approach to your goals right now. It's time to think out of the box. Your usual logical, rational ways of going about things or your analytical skills are not what's called for. This is the time to bring ideas, to bring concepts, and to stretch your mind a little bit. That's going to help your goals. Well, Librans, it does look like you've been through a few ups and downs over the last little while, or been through the wars, and it does look as if you need a little bit of recovery from all of that. As smoothly as most things have been going, some things still happen, and it looks like this is a time when you need to sit perfectly still, whether that means you need to recover and recuperate or just relax. Maybe you just really need to ground yourself and center yourself again. But this is a time to take pause, Librans. It also looks like you have to deal with things that are acting as obstacles or slowing you down, and you have to accept them. It's not a time to push or fight in any kind of a way. You need to sit with where you're at and allow yourself to move through this recovery phase or this catch-up phase that you're in. There are some financial situations that need your attention, and this could be a great opportunity to sort those out. And that also means that you need a little bit of support from those people around you. Whether it's help in sorting things out or just really some support because you're feeling a little bit stuck. What you need to know from the astrological charts, you are not stuck. It's not shown as a negative time or a stuck time. It's a grounding, rebuilding and re-strengthening time so that when you go ahead from here, you're even stronger. For Scorpios, this could be a month of doing exactly what you want to do, because one of the things that's really great for this month for you is just to either get away from it all or just get away from them. People and so on are kind of imposing on at the moment, and it really could be that these aren't your people. So Scorpios, you need to be spending more time with your peeps. It looks like there could be friends that you've been neglecting or just haven't seen for the longest time. It could also be family members that actually just are the more safe, known quantity around you because you've just been swamped by other people's energy for a while, and this is putting you at a disadvantage. Sometimes Scorpios are accused of pressing people's buttons or being manipulative or all sorts of nasty sounding things like that, and it's really just like you sick and tired and you sometimes might just lash out. This is not the time to use a heavy hand when a light hand would do. So on the one hand, it's about make sure you're just using the light hand, and on the other hand, it's more about you can save the day by not even having to use your hands and just stepping back from it all. It's not just about taking a holiday. Some Scorpios need some time for deep reflection and sorting some things out because things are not necessarily working the way that you want them to work, and you have to also think out of the box and try a completely different strategy. Main thing, Scorpios, you'd have to let go of a lot of baggage and anger or something like that in order to move on from this point. So step away, let go, spend time with loved ones, and you're ready for it all again next month. Sagittarians, it looks like you're entering the smooth zone this month. The smooth zone is when things really seem to work for you and you're sailing along easily. It's great. Sagittarius is one of the signs associated with luck, one of the lucky signs. And that all sounds very good, but you can have too much of a good thing, and you can also fail to benefit from it if you're not paying too much attention. Quite frankly, the real danger is taking anything for granted. When things go easily, we tend to ease off instead of take advantage of that. We often will take things for granted because everything seems to be working so well and going according to plan. And while that is great news for the month ahead, you mustn't take it for granted. You really need to make sure that now you can put your plans into action, because luck is on your side. Don't let luck be random. Let luck be what I'm putting into action works, and a little goes a long way. It's also the principle of a small investment produces a great result. So whether that investment is in energy or in resources, a lot of the good place to put that is in your home. Your actual physical home can benefit from that input of energy, money, or whatever it's going to be at this particular time. That also bodes well for domestic life in general. Your partners can also benefit from the good time that you're in over the next month. So as usual, don't overdo it and blow it into the air. Focus it and everyone benefits. Capricorns have the month to really get on top of their financial situation, because it looks like things are really working your way. There's greater stability shown for you at this particular time, and plenty of opportunity to sort out any lingering financial matters. That could include dealing with old debt. And for some Capricorns, that is going to be significant debt. So this is also a time to kind of complete that in some way, even if it means that you have to restrict yourself in other areas and just get it done with. There can be some unforeseen expenses that are also associated with this position, not only existing debts, but for the most part it's clearing out the financial situation and really getting on top of it with relative ease at this time. That looks great. What could be a little bit more challenging for Capricorns is not knowing exactly where you stand, and that is something unusual to you and probably very disconcerting. It's time then to re-evaluate exactly what are you doing there, and what is your role, whether this is work or somewhere else in your life. What is your role? What is my real purpose or value in this situation? Capricorns are often very highly valued by the people around them, but right now you could be the one that's questioning that value. Time to get it back to something real, to define for yourself, this is what I offer, this is what I'm great at, this is who I am. Aquarians, you're going to love this. This is the month to be spending time with your tribe, whatever your tribe is. Hey, you know, sometimes Aquarians like to go off on their own, and that's their way of spending the best time, is they're up on a mountain somewhere. But your tribe is like-minded people, and people who are your family, although not necessarily by blood, because many Aquarians have created their own families. These are the people where a lot of your strength is coming from at this time, and this can actually work very, very well for you. It's not about acting with leadership, but certainly you actually need to be stepping forward, be the example, or take advantage of this time to kind of advance your own goals and needs in some kind of a way. It could be a very good time financially, because things are going to respond to you. So Aquarians, what you are hearing is that because you've got the support of those around you, it's time to put your best foot forward, or to put the plans into action. Over the last month, you have been putting some plans into action, so that's going to be really helpful. This is the time to become serious about it and take it one step further. Even if you are feeling vulnerable or incomplete, be it financially or any other resources you need, it still remains the time to kind of take it a step forward, and like that it's going to help you on your own. Your personal life can be really great in this report. There's strong signs of love and support around you. Relationships benefit enormously from those kind of signs, so don't forget to invest some energy there too. Pisces, it's your birthday month. You've got a birthday coming up. One or two of you might already have had it. But it really is one of those times when it feels like it is my month and this is about me, because it is about you. This is a time where you'll find that things are really opening up for you. It's like people are listening to you or taking you more seriously, and you're feeling that you're coming from a much more solid place. Again, as ever, this is the time to capitalize on that. You're someone who way too easily goes with the flow, and way too easily means that even though you're good at it, and even though it always ends well, most of the time, it's way too easy because there's plenty wasted opportunities to assert what you want instead of go with the flow. this is the time to assert what you want instead of going with the flow. And you can say, hey, it's my birthday, you've all got to listen to me. But it doesn't even have to involve anyone else. This is about your own plans and your own projects as much as it involves anyone else as well. This is a great time for your relationships. There's really strong signs of love and support from people around you. And that also means it's a great time to invest in your relationships. What do I mean by that? This is a good time for making commitments, whether it's the whole hog of the big commitment or just taking steps forward that really put your relationship on much more solid ground. Because you're in a strong position and it's your birthday, it's like there's a whole new cycle ahead of you and you've got a lot of love and support on that cycle. So don't let it fritter away. Don't go with the flow. Get them into your flow. Let them come with you. You'll have a great time. You know, it might look like on the large scale things are tough, but it certainly looks like on the individual scale we're still able to move forward and do our thing. Well, here's to hoping, but February, March, great time to start. See you again next week.